Welcome to AI for Founders. I'm Ryan Estes. Today's tension is simple. AI can generate gorgeous front ends and clever flows in minutes, but most mature products still cannot get that code into production without breaking things or burning engineering time. My guest, Keren Fanan, co-founder and CEO of MyOp.dev, says there's a better way. Her team built a pluggable layer that lets non-developers ship UI and UX safely in isolation while engineers guard the core. In this conversation, you will learn how to move from AI-assisted mockups to live, measurable features, how to split ownership between product design and engineering without chaos, and how real teams are rolling out experiments, A/B tests, and personalization without redeploys. If you're a founder, product leader, designer, or growth owner inside a working app with real users, this one's for you. We get into change management, outcome-based pricing, designer partner tactics, raising that first $2 million, and why front-end roles are about to look very different. Buckle up. Software runs the world, and today we plug AI straight into it. If this episode sparks an idea before your coffee does, get the blueprint in your inbox at aiforfounders.co. Turn one interview into a month of momentum. The how-to lives at aiforfounders.co. Join the founders who ship faster and think clearer. Your edge is waiting at aiforfounders.co. And if this episode earns a head nod or a whoa, drop a quick 5-star review and help more founders find their unfair advantage. This episode is brought to you by Kitcaster. If you're a founder, executive, or marketer who needs qualified pipeline without another ad experiment, Kitcaster gets you booked as a guest on the right podcast so you can borrow trust, tell your story, and turn conversations into customers. Imagine stacking shows where your buyers already listen, then spinning each interview into clips, posts, and emails that work for you all quarter. That is awareness, authority, and SEO in one motion. Kitcaster's team handles targeting, outreach, scheduling, and prep, so you just show up and deliver your best stories. Their clients have driven millions in revenue, raised rounds, and opened enterprise doors that ads could not touch. If you want to grow faster with founder-led marketing, head to kitcaster.com and tell them Ryan sent you. Your next great customer is already listening. That's Kitcaster by Moburst. All right. Coffee is great, but coffee won't prep your meetings for you. It'll just keep you awake while you panic, hastily scrolling through LinkedIn at 6:59 a.m. Ambient, however, will prep your meetings. Each morning you get a founder-tuned briefing sourced overnight from your calendar, your meeting history, and the web. It's like walking into every call with a cheat sheet that you didn't have to write. No more scrambling, no more guessing, just context, confidence, and focus. And if you're raising money, ambient investor dossiers are an absolute must-have. You'll know the investor's portfolio, their interests, and their latest moves before you even step into the room. You'll even get a heads up on red flags. Think of it as the caffeine upgrade that your calendar actually needs. Prep while you sleep, perform while you're awake. Sign up for free at ambient.us. Go check it out at ambient.us. That's ambient.us. We're rolling. Keren, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm really excited about your company, MyOp, largely because this has to do with vibe coding, and I consider myself a connoisseur of vibe coding. So I'm super excited. So to get started, give us an introduction to your company.
Happy to. So MyOp is basically solving the number one blocker, keeping all of the AI vibe coding tools we all know, like Claude, Gemini, Lovable, Balls, you name it, from delivering real, genuine, measurable value to mature companies. What we do is that we actually plug the output of these tools safely and directly into existing live applications. And we do that with a super simple pluggable approach. By pluggable approach, I mean that we don't actually embed the AI code directly into the existing stack, but we create a connection between them, like a contract between the inner logic and the externally generated AI code, so that the AI code behaves as if it was a native part of your app and system. The data flows in and out, but it's actually kept in isolation. It's disconnected from the core code, which gives us a couple of benefits. First of all, the core code remains stable, secured, basically untouched. So whatever you build externally with vibe coding cannot harm accidentally the inner logic. But more importantly, I think it actually empowers non-developers, what I believe would be the next generation of coders in mature organization, like product managers, designers, even growth managers. We empower them to get a direct access to the end user. So think about a future with MyOp, where you have an idea as a product manager, again, designer or growth manager, and you can build that idea externally with any vibe coding tool you choose. And then you plug it into the developer handled inner logic, you QA it, and it's live, just like that. So no kind of long, rigid development processes, and delays and everything that we know today from the engineering process.
Amazing. Okay, so it sounds like largely this is going to be for, I would say enterprise or it's well-seasoned software, the teams that are looking to create kind of a sandbox for experiments and then be able to deploy those safely once maybe all the bugs have been worked out. Is that a safe assessment?
So not just enterprises. Basically, we see the pain in any mature company, any company that already has a live product, real users, already have something that is working and functioning, probably invested some good years of engineering and everything that comes with that. And now they do want to move faster and adopt AI and enjoy the power of all of these amazing tools. But, the output of these tools is disconnected from what you've built.
Right.
And you can, in theory, integrate it manually, but then the developers would need to kind of go over line by line, read through the AI code, wire refs and props and make the integration between the front end code that these tools create and what you already have working. And what we see is that in most cases, they would rather just build it from scratch. So we find ourselves, not actually benefiting from what AI has to offer, and that's to streamline the development processes and, to extend the power of the people that can use this power, right? Like I believe that if a product manager that knows the user has an idea and wants to validate that idea with real users, maybe not all of them as a start, but a portion of them should have a simple way of doing that. So yes, we believe that any company with a working product can benefit from that flow.
Yeah. Well, and I think early on with some of the vibe coding tools, like there was a little bit of pushback from senior engineers. They're like, this is going to add AI slop, or this is going to, it rewrites itself every time. There was a little bit of pushback. Now I think pretty much everyone's using Copilot and everything else. But this provides, I suppose, a certain amount of security from the organizational structure and also from the engineering team, where it maybe gives them a little bit more liberty to be a little bit more creative, take a little bit more chances.
Yes, I think that what we are trying to introduce is, I would say, a separation of responsibilities when it comes to coding, so that engineering team using, Cursor, Copilot, whatever they choose, should own the implementation model of the product, right? The logic behind it, the functionality, the data structure, the integrations, the building blocks of the product, the core. And they should definitely use, AI assistant to help them move faster, but they will still keep on validating the AI output. When we talk about the front end part, the screens, but also some front end logics, it could be animations, hover states, scrolls, drag and drops, a lot of the experiences that we as the end users see. That is a different part of the code that can be kept and managed actually in isolation from the core. And this way, the engineers are not afraid that if you as a non-developer created a piece of a code that you could break something inside the core system. So we're kind of saying, okay, let's treat AI with, with extra care, and we can give people to experiment freely, even if they're non-developers, but, manage the architecture behind it more carefully. I do think that it will also open the door for engineers maybe to practice with, user-facing experiences. But to be honest, I think that's one of the main frictions we have today, that there is a handover for every feature with, the user visible part and the backend part. Everything moves to developers to execute, and I'm not sure they're the right people to execute on everything. They don't always see kind of the pixel perfect element or could sense the experience after building it like product managers and UX professionals can.
Do you feel like that we're really entering into the world where everyone kind of needs to be full stack, as far as a developer goes?
Yeah, I think that definitely for developers that are only doing front end today, a large portion of their front end work can be and should be kind of outsourced to the new citizen engineers with vibe coding tools. And therefore, it gives them the opportunity to shift more towards, the backend and the deeper part of the system, or they could jump to the product side, which is, I'm coming from a product management background, so I could say that it's much more fun to be on the product side. So they could shift to that side. But I believe that front-end engineers, as we know them today, are going to change completely.
Yeah. Okay, everyone loves to talk about vision, the pitch, the funding round, but you know what gets zero love? The actual product build. That magical, terrifying phase where nothing works, the docs are out of date, and you've asked your dev team, how's it going, for the 47th time today on Slack. That's where Code Story comes in. It's a podcast for startup founders who know that building the thing is the thing. Hosted by Noah Labhart, Code Story goes deep with tech leaders who've been through it, shipping real products, surviving messy launches, and figuring out what actually works and when you're on the edge of chaos. If you're building now or ever plan to, you'll want these stories in your earballs. Search Code Story wherever you get your podcasts or visit codestory.co, because founders talk vision, but builders tell code stories. Okay, I've got a confession. As a podcaster and founder, I'm constantly meeting incredible people, guests, listeners, or other entrepreneurs. But here's my little secret. I'm terrible at following up. My inbox is basically a graveyard of missed opportunities. Does that sound like you? You meet someone amazing, exchange emails, have great intentions, and then life happens. 6 months later, you're kicking yourself thinking, I should have stayed in touch with that person. This is exactly why I started using warmstart.ai. And honestly, it's transformed how I think about my network. Instead of letting relationships go cold, Warmstart analyzes my existing contacts and helps me identify who I should be reaching out to and why. It even writes the outreach messages for me. But here's the key. I review everything before it goes out. I'm not just talking about this because they're a sponsor. I'm talking about it because watching a healthcare executive use this to build his entire advisory board in one weekend with 4 CEO signups made me realize I was leaving money on the table every single day. Your network is your net worth, but only if you actually nurture it. Check out warmstart.ai, use code AIFF to get $50 off your first month. Stop letting your relationships turn into missed revenue. Yeah, it's so fascinating. And I mean, there's tools out there now that the front end is actually being run by AI based on user behavior. So they're actually modulating like user behavior without designers at all. Really, the end users are designing. And we'll move to a place where the same will be happening on the back end, which is to say that the software will grow and evolve with the customer as they move through iteration. So, I was reading up on you and you had an interesting quote. It said, software runs the world, And I'm wondering how you see that changing in AI as we head towards more of an autonomous produced software landscape?
So look, I think that we're in an era that everyone, has an opinion. My point of view is that it would not be fully autonomous. Like, I personally think that the human judgment still matters. I think that the risk with everything kind of generated with AI, even if the user kind of, the users say what they want, we will see, a lot of the same. I mean, we can all even today identify AI patterns, and we could see how things become, repetitive. So I think that we would still need kind of the human judgment and involvement, but a lot of the things that are super slow today or suffer from friction will be a lot faster. So that's kind of my view. I think that software will still run the world, and anyone that could, build software properly at scale and still, keep the uniqueness of the software that you build. Because if everything is the same, then
Yeah.
then nothing is interesting. Yeah, so that's my take on that.
It's interesting, the generative aspect, it's like, I think about like Meta and how Zuckerberg made such a horrible mistake with the whole metaverse. And like he went so hard
Yeah.
on VR, AR, and people are like, man, we don't want that. And he completely overlooked AI. So Sam was able to jump in there. But, Zuck has probably some of the best AI machine learning on planet Earth and has been using it for 15, 20 years for ad placements. He didn't invent like the chat function, which was like really good, but it's very similar with Facebook because basically it's completing your sentences with the products it thinks you want. You know what I mean? So there's
Yeah.
It's really good at that. It knows what I want, when I want it. It's fall, so I want a nice plush scarf with a nice plaid. And everybody knows it because that's all I see ads for. I don't know if I hit an ad for a scarf, but now I get it. So, if you follow the same trajectory, if AI is just basically wants to keep us happy, it's going to create the software with the intention that we want pre-built and individualized for each person, similar to these like advertising algorithms. Now that's science fiction so far, but we're certainly getting there. And to go from a point here where we're largely AI assisted human curation to a place where it's going to be largely AI created human assisted onto the next stratosphere, really you're going to need a lot of tools like MyOp that are basically building a bridge and kind of padding the walls, so to speak, so you don't run into it and bang your head on it. I think it's brilliant. So how did the inception of this idea come about, and how did you decide to act on building this company?
So I think like in many cases, actually, it came from a personal pain, and also I think a bit of a luck to find my co-founders, which is always, I think, critical when founding a new company. But I've spent the past 15 years working in the tech industry. I started as a product manager. I became a leader in product manager. I was a VP of product in a large unicorn. I was general manager, etc., etc. But in reality, regardless the title that I had, I always had the same job, and that was to beg for developers to help me kind of accelerate the idea that I want to bring to the market. So I was always a professional beggar. So there was something about, no matter how senior you are or how good your idea is, as a non-developer, you are always dependent on someone else to execute on that. And I think that AI kind of aims to change that dynamic. Now, again, I'm not part of the teams that think that it's going to replace everything and I'm going to open a Jira and tomorrow is going to be in the hand of the customers. I do believe that it's more complex than that, at least in the next, 3 to 5, maybe 10 years. So we will still see some processes of, AI and humans working together. But for sure, the thing that kind of drove me into MyOp was the understanding that, people would no longer have to beg to bring their ideas to life. So it will be a question and a discussion of real data, of real insights, and not, if you could argue, in the meeting room better than others, which sometimes this is how decisions are made today. So if AI is a real agency, and I believe that, AI is really an extension of our power. It's not like I will be able to do something that I've never done before, but I could do more than what I do today, as long as I can validate the output. Okay. And that's exactly what we are aiming to solve with MyOp. We're kind of looking to give anyone on the team an extension of their power and kind of give them, slightly more leverage to do what they believe they can and want to do, to build better products, to bring more revenues, to improve the overall product experiences. So that was kind of the idea behind it. And I mentioned there was also a little bit of luck behind it, because I was lucky to meet my 2 co-founders. Both of them are engineers that have the same mindset. So they don't look to kind of preserve the reality as it is today, but rather kind of simplify it and give the people that own the domain to, lead it all the way through production.
Amazing. So you were basically like, hey, just get out of my way. I can do it. And I'm not going to break anything. It's fine.
Yeah. I was like, get out of my way, but we'll find a way to make sure we can do it without breaking anything. And once you can do that, then you're in you're in the best place you could be.
Incredible. Yeah, because it really democratizes talent, right? I mean, it's not everybody can have all the ideas and be able to execute all the ideas. In fact, some of the best ideas are from true visionaries that, they can see the end result, but like getting from here to there, you need almost like a tractor beam through space and time that you can pull yourself into that reality. So you need the tools. This is bringing so much more creative spirit, because now you're basically tapping into the creative potential of every single human on planet Earth.
Yes. And I think that one of the things that actually kills the creative spirit today is the long processes. So sometimes, like, if you know that it's not going to happen, then, you won't even bother thinking about it or letting your mind, go wide with what you could do. And this is why I think, a lot of businesses, product companies today, they actually lose some of their creativity. And that's some of the things that AI can change. So I think before AI does everything for us, right? And everything is kind of fully autonomous, as we discussed before. I think before that, we're going to see a lot of kind of, process changes, workflow changes, roles extensions, and kind of the lines will be moving, shifting kind of between developers, product managers, designers, maybe growth managers. And that will be very interesting, I think.
Yeah, I think it benefits everybody.
Or chaotic. Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of both, Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so you grab your 2 co-founders. You're like, let's go start MyOp. It looks like you raised about $2 million. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's true.
Where did you find your investor syndicate?
So one of my co-founders, he's a serial entrepreneur, and the fund that invested in us, Radiant Capital, also invested at his other firm. So actually that came, I would say, easier than I expected, because they already knew him and his kind of very kind of technological brain power. And then we kind of started, working on the MVP. We released it a couple of months later with the first design partner, and growing from there. the thing with MyOp is that we rely heavily on the output of other vibe coding tools. And, it could be the models like Claude and Gemini, which they work amazing when it comes to front end UIs and front end logics. It's absolutely amazing what you could do with these tools. But also, of course, the agents that are built on top, the lovable bolt of the Walt, Figma to code, think that with MyOp you could take the output from Figma to code, the HTML, CSS, and, push it directly to users with one click. So you don't actually have to integrate that. So the more these tools get better, the more the models get better, the more value we could bring. So that's also something that is ramping up, towards the year. We saw an amazing improvement in the past couple of months.
Yeah. Well, and again, like it's the personalization. For whatever reason, certain tools will speak to you. Everybody's using Cursor. Everyone, Claude Code, ubiquitous. A lot of people using that. But then I find myself like I started with Replit, and I was like, after a while, I was like, I like Lovable better. So you're always moving tools. So to be able to kind of plug in different applications is huge. I think that's a great feature.
Yes.
Because everyone brings their own stack.
Exactly. And also there is a difference between them. Lovable is more, they've done great prompt engineering work and kind of visual edit work on top of the LLMs. Cursors, the cursor of the role, they run on top of your IDE. So you kind of have to have a code base and run on top of it. So we see that non-developers, they can use Cursor, but it's much more kind of natural for them to work with the external tools, right? Like to chat with Claude or to build with Lovable and stuff like that.
Sure. And I think I read about you that you guys are based in Tel Aviv. Is that correct?
Yes, that is
true. Are you
true.
there now?
Yes, I am in Tel Aviv.
I feel so rude. It's so late.
It is late, but it's fine. It's better now because all of my kids are asleep, so they won't jump in,
Well, thank you.
That's the thing when you work hybrid, it's like it has to happen once a day. A kid jump inside your Zoom.
Well, thanks for standing up.
But I'm based in
with us.
Okay.
How old are your kiddos?
You. So I have 3, 12, 10, and 4.
Amazing. That's a great spread. My kids are teenagers now, so I miss the 4-year-olds,
You cross the bridge, you're on the other side. Like
it does happen. It was this year that my daughter went to college. I miss her dearly. And my son now drives himself to school. It's like the amount of, I don't have to take him to football practice. I don't got to, take him to school. The amount of time I have for yoga.
The amount of time. Yes. Yes.
Nice. Okay. So you
got
the MVP, you got the product together, you got the financing together. How did you find your first customer?
So, actually a lot of kind of personal relationship and networking, because all of the 3 co-founders worked previously at other quite large companies. Like I spent 6 years at Gad, which is an Uber rival, ride-hailing firm. My co-founder came from Wix.com. So we were kind of reaching out to people, we started actually by pitching to CTOs and VP engineering because, at the end of the day, MyOp is a pluggable solution for front end and you have to have the buy-in from the CTO. But then we realized that, the real power and the pain that we're solving is actually for, again, the non-developers that now get kind of more power. So now most of our work is actually with product managers and designers as champions inside the organization, and then we kind of close the loop with the R&D as well.
Right.
And yes, we were lucky to have design partners to kind of kind of jump over the river with us and try and try new things, and let people inside the organization to build with AI. And I think the more they got excited, like our customers today, they reached to a point that a large portion of their UX and product team, maybe soon also the growth team, are vibe coding components, like complete features inside their app. And the engineering teams kind of spend most of their time on the core, the unique logics, the functionalities, a lot of optimizations that they are doing on the system. Of course, they are also using AI assistant tool, but that's completely kind of, different areas of the product. And I find that to be amazing because, we only exist for a couple of months. And if people were, capable of trying and scaling with the concept, then I think we have something very interesting here, even though it's not obvious at all. I mean, we're talking about real change management inside organizations, right? We are talking about letting non-developers to write and ship code to end users, right? That's crazy when you think about it. But, some companies, are the early adapters and they have the open mind to do so.
Is that how you're pitching it?
So actually, no, I'm pitching it mostly with examples. So I'm giving examples. They look amazing. And then I say, that was built by a non-developer with Gemini. That was built by a non-developer with Claude. It's live in production. You could see it here. You can see it there. And so we're kind of trying with that angle. One more thing that we're doing is that we're running a lot of kind of hands-on workshops. So we've learned that some of the issues, obviously, that we have now with AI is that people, they don't know what they don't know. And there is a lot of noise around. And we said, okay, we need to kind of teach people, and I'm referring to the non-developers, how they can vibe code, not a side project, not an app that manages, carpooling for my kids. I'm talking about how can they vibe code a real component, a real front-end piece that can later be easily plugged into a running system. And so we are doing that now, mostly in Tel Aviv, but soon also abroad and online. And that is working great. People do seek for knowledge and like practical knowledge and practical expertise. And so that's another kind of go-to-market approach that we are pushing now.
Amazing. So cool. And how big is the team?
So we are all in all 10, including, yeah.
And then how about pricing? I didn't see pricing on the website. How are you managing pricing?
Yeah. Yeah. So the pricing will be soon on the website. So MyOp has basically two parts. We have our library. It's more of a meta framework, an SDK that has to be installed inside the host application in order to enable that communication between the inner logic and the external AI code. And that part is completely open source and open code, as commonly kind of used in this type of product. And then we have the management system. The system is where you come as a non-developer, you paste your code from Claude, or you use our agent. We also have our agent inside MyOp. And then you can test it, you can plug it, and then you can decide, how to QA it. You ship it to QA segment, and then maybe to a beta segment and pre-production, et cetera, et cetera. No one really pushes, code to production with one click. We have to kind of test it and verify it and so on. So all of that happens from the MyOp system, including A/B testing and segmentations and gradual rollouts and history management, et cetera. So it becomes the hub of your external AI code and how it gets to production. And we can, and you can also at any given moment sync it to your Git. So if you want to have, single source of truth for your entire code. And for that, we charge a subscription fee, which is based on usage. So if you have one component, meaning one, code piece, it will have a certain fee. And then the more you scale up. So very similar to, analytics, kind of BA systems that charge per events and per usage. It was very important for us to kind of align the value with the price because every time you plug AI code, you save a significant amount of development time. You see the value. So you would be more kind of willing to pay. We are still at the point that we are maximizing usage and retention over revenues, to be honest. But of course, revenue is also critical and something that we put a lot of focus on.
100%. And, that seems to be much more very common with AI tools now is kind of like outcome-based pricing. You're paying for usage as opposed to like seats, SaaS was all about seats, but now we're getting to outcome-based pricing.
Yes, exactly. Because partially what we're trying to do with AI is to save seats, right? Yeah. Or to increase capacity of the current seats. So, it less makes sense. And of course, we have to remember, like when it comes to our agent or any agent that you use, obviously you have to kind of pay for tokens, etc., because we are all paying back to the model. So if anyone wants to make money on top of that, then you kind of have to build your pricing on top of whatever you are paying to Anthropic or OpenAI, etc. So that, by the way, it's also varied. It's going to be very interesting because there are so many companies out there, including most of the companies we mentioned here, right? From Cursor to Lovable, that rely on the LLMs by Anthropic and OpenAI, that eventually I believe that the pricing will be controlled by them, right? If they increase the pricing, then all of the agents that are built on top will follow.
Very cool. I've been very fortunate to work with absolutely amazing women founders. And so I'd like to ask, when I meet women founders, what their experience has been like. There's been a lot made of like tech bros and things like that. For you, being a woman in tech, how have you found it to be a superpower, or maybe what are some of the challenges?
So it's both. I do think there is much more awareness to the issue. So in some cases, I do find it to be a superpower in terms of kind of I am getting a seat at the table, and I am getting the opportunity of kind of being on stage and talk about my startup. I think, partially because what we're doing is super important, but also partially because I'm a female founder, and that's fine. As a founder, as an entrepreneur in general, you would do whatever you need to do to get the attention and to get the awareness. So, I think I do see it as a benefit. On the other end, to every room that I will, join, attend, every event, there will always be just a few female founders, and the majority would be still men. No matter where I go, no matter what, what I'll do. And that's crazy. Yeah, it is crazy. It's 2025, right? One of the things I care a lot about, gender equality, and I volunteer at an organization called Women in Tech, the Israeli chapter, for the past 5 years. So we do a lot of, of work in kind of pushing women up the ladder. On the kind of entry level, we do see equal numbers, but the more you kind of go up the ladder, you see less and less. And when it comes to founders, especially founders and CEOs, actually. And I actually think that AI is a very critical point when it comes to to gender equality, because I think it will either become an opportunity for women to shine and start, becoming. We will see more and more kind of AI ambassadors, female AI ambassadors in organization, kind of, taking the lead and taking the stage, or it will kind of deepen the gap, because it's a race now. Everyone has to kind of to learn new skills, new capabilities. So we actually do a lot of work with women in tech, trying to kind of push women like civil engineers, product managers, designers, to see that as an opportunity to push themselves up the ladder. Because if you become an AI champion in the organization, it doesn't really matter if you come with 5 years of experience in product management or 10, but if you become, the AI expert, that's a whole new game, and that's a whole new opportunity and doors that will open up. So I really believe it could be a great opportunity if we capture it as, as all the women in the world.
Hey founders, let me ask you this. Are you building with AI or getting left behind by it? If you're serious about scaling smarter, faster, and bolder, you need to check out AIforfounders.co. It's your go-to resource for cutting through the noise and actually using AI to grow your startup. Each week, AI for Founders drops a sharp, no-fluff newsletter, dives deep with expert guests on the podcast, and hosts monthly workshops where you can get your hands dirty with the real tools and strategies. Whether you're pre-seed or Series B and beyond, launching something new, or just staying sharp, AI for Founders gives you the edge you need to win in 2025 and beyond. Hit AIforfounders.co to subscribe to the newsletter, tune into the podcast, and grab your spot in the next workshop. And it's all free. Build smarter, move faster, think bolder with AI for Founders. Now back to the show. This episode is brought to you by MoBurst, the AI-first growth engine trusted by iconic startups like Calm, Robinhood, Reddit, Uber, and Google. MoBurst is a digital full-service mobile-first marketing agency that helps companies to scale and become category leaders. Whether you're finding product market fit or ready to accelerate growth, MoBurst delivers creative, data-driven solutions that help with scale and efficiency and impact. At MoBurst, we're not just guessing what works, we're predicting it. As an AI-first agency, MoBurst uses cutting-edge tools to analyze user behavior, adapt creative in real time, and uncover hidden growth opportunities. The result, marketing that's faster, smarter, and built to convert. From early-stage startups to global brands, we've helped hundreds of companies overcome complex challenges, unlock new audiences, and optimize every metric that matters. At MoBurst, we believe that creative thinking, advanced technology, and data are the core drivers of success at scale. If you're serious about scaling your business with precision and purpose, it's time to talk to MoBurst. Visit MoBurst.com and let's build something category-defining together. Yeah. Well, and all the women I know in tech are very welcoming to recruit more women in tech, but also, honestly, so are the men. The men want more women too. To that point, here in Denver, I'm in Denver, Colorado, and we have, I think, the world's first vibe code co-working space. It's called ID 345. And we meet every 2 weeks and we demo products and we talk about what we're using and what cool products we've seen that week. And then we do generative fun video stuff too. But it's a really cool group that's grown. We started probably in March. And, now that we have this big warehouse, it's awesome. And, there's probably 60, 70 people there, I would say, on any given week. And last week, I was talking to Danny. He put the whole thing together. And he's like, man, we got to get more women here. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. And I looked and there was one out of 7.
Crazy.
And it was like, yeah, we really do. But it brings up this question, is there something pushing women out of tech, or is it just that most women would prefer to do something else? What do you think?
Okay, that's a good question. I think it's neither of that. Of the options. I think that in most of the cases, in most of the families, women are expected to be more present at home and to take more responsibilities, especially when you have a family. And so we kind of carry on our shoulders a lot of things, except for work, except for self, development and self-improvement. And I think AI requires kind of an extra time, extra attention. And I think, and I'm afraid that a lot of the women will feel that they don't have the time to give. And this is why we'll keep on. Oh,
Oh shoot, what happened?
it keeps throwing you out.
Oh yeah, it was frozen. I was like, oh no. Let me see. We got it recording. I think we should have the other. Okay, we'll pick it up here.
Yeah, I was here all the time.
Oh, weird.
So
Okay. So you were just
so
about to answer that question before it cut out. Oh, did it cut out again?
yeah, but this time just for a second.
Okay, let me see. Let me see if there's anything on my side. It looks like everything is good on my end. Blah, 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 blah. I'll just cut this out. Yeah, one more thing. There we go. Okay, cool. We'll start again. Okay, so the question that I talked about before, right before it cut out, was I asked if there's something preventing women from entering tech, some kind of ominous force, or if women just prefer to do something else. And you actually said it's neither of those.
Yes. Yes. So I personally believe that it's the expectations. It's the external expectations that we still, as a society. And I know it sounds quite deep, but it is, a very critical topic. I think that external expectations are still that women would be more present and at home, and that they will take, the responsibility on managing the house, so that except for having my job, I also have other commitments and responsibilities, and that just don't leave me enough time to, learn what I need to learn about AI. Because I think the race now around AI is that you have to kind of, find some time to teach yourself. You have to listen, you have to learn this new language, you have to understand how it's helpful for you. And actually I'm concerned about it, because I think that we will see more men kind of, joining the race and becoming better at that, and capturing on the opportunity, and we would see women kind of staying behind. And this is why we actually need to actively push them. So I very much agree that you guys need to find more women for your vibe coding co-working space, and I'm happy to help with that, although I'm not from Denver. That's a very, very cool idea, by the way.
Oh, it's so cool. You would love
Yes.
it. It's really neat. You demo
For
tools
sure.
and people will tear it down and give ideas, and like talking about prompt engineering and, hey, how I got it to do this and how I'm incorporating these tools, particularly on kind of generative creative stuff. Some of the guys are making unbelievable short films right now, like cutting edge stuff that I don't know how many other people are kind of getting the same results, because, right now, if you're making videos or animations or things like that, it's hard to have consistency from shot to shot. It's a real challenge. And there's some guys that are doing it at a very, very high level. So it's really cool. You have an open invitation to come speak anytime you want to get a bunch of vibe coders together. Come on down to Denver.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. To be honest, I really tried to do videos, at least, for our company. I mean, as a founder these days, you kind of try to leverage any AI tool you can. And I was so terrible at that. If someone can teach me how to do short videos that will look professional, I would be extremely happy.
These are the people to do it. My videos are horrible. I cannot help you.
Yes. Yes.
I always
Yeah.
start with terrible.
Yeah, likewise.
It's like, I want someone to explode with butterflies and have them reorganize into a giraffe. And, just like,
Yeah.
just the worst stuff out.
Sounds cool, actually.
Okay.
So,
Are you ready for the lightning round here?
yes.
No.
Yes.
Okay. Um, I have a daughter who's a freshman in college, like I mentioned. What would you encourage her to study in university?
Okay, that's a good question. I would probably go with computer science, and I will explain why. Still, although anyone could build without writing code, I think I mentioned that before. I believe personally that AI helps us move faster. It gives us agency. It's an extension of our power. But if you cannot validate the AI output, and you have to kind of take whatever the AI gives you for granted, I think that's a problem. So even though I never wanted, and I don't want today to write code, on a daily basis. I think that understanding kind of, now I do because I have to for MyOp, but I think that generally understanding the fundamentals behind engineering and computer science, and speak the language and the terms, that's a massive benefit,
Yeah.
especially if you want to build with AI.
Yeah.
So that would be that.
Love it. Is there an entrepreneur or CEO that you follow closely or admire?
Yes, so we talked about female entrepreneurs. So one of my favorite is Whitney Wolf from Bumble. I think even before I became a founder, when I was just at the beginning of my career, I think her story is an inspiration, and her achievements, and so definitely I follow her and love a lot of things about her. I also really like Reid Hoffman. I used to be a junkie of his podcast, The Master of Scale. But generally speaking, I also very much agree with his kind of building products approach. You have to be embarrassed by your first product. And if you're not, you released it too late. I think it's the most important thing to do, to release a product that you're embarrassed by. But it is so true, because kind of you don't know what you don't know until you meet your customers, and it's really counterintuitive. You kind of feel that you know your product the best, you know the market the best. It's your day, it's your night, you dream about it, and then you take it to customers and you discover that a lot of the things that you were so sure about was complete, like they were completely wrong, right? And that's crazy. It happens to us still.
Well, and that's the
So
best
yeah.
part, but also the most challenging part. You just want to bury your head in the sand and build something beautiful that you love, and then you bring it to the world and they hate it. But it's like, that's
Yeah.
okay. That's the, there's a fine line for me, I guess I'll speak personally, of like, I want first draft, best draft. I want the first thing I put out there to be as close to perfect as possible. However, it should also be on the edge where I could still kill it at any time for any reason. And having design partners are just the best for that. If you have people you trust, or,
Yeah.
that you really can get a lot of good feedback. And that kind of leads me to my next question too, sitting where you are now, you guys launched in 2024. What's something now that you wish you knew right when you started, when you launched?
Wow. Okay, so first of all, we did not know a lot about did like a lot about what's going on with AI, obviously. I mean, I mentioned before how these tools are kind of getting better and evolved, which is something that kind of shifted us completely. I mean, we started by actually early on, we started by kind of connecting builders output. I'm referring to kind of Webflow, WordPress type. We said, okay, they were the kind of the pre-AI vibe coding of the world. You could go as a non-developer and build interfaces and logics and animations. And so we started by that. And we spent a lot of time on adjusting our technology to that technology, which operates completely different. So that's a more kind of tactical thing. I think that I did not know how much our product will become something that is at the core of the kind of change management in organization. Working for large companies, like I spent a couple of years at AT&T, Gap, Monactive, companies of thousands of employees. If there was one thing that I didn't want to do is to find myself involved in the politics of the different roles and responsibilities and, R&Rs and who takes what. And I was like, no, I don't want to sell product that kind of challenge that. Given my experience and the amount of kind of argues I had with my kind of CTO, looking to push things, etc. And we ended up, right in the middle of that with everything we discussed, with giving more power to other people, change management, etc. So I think that if I knew it's going to be so powerful, I would probably do a lot of things differently from day one that we are now kind of trying to kind of figure out.
Love it. Keren, this has been fantastic. It is MyOp.dev where you have to check out this product.
Yes.
I want to give a shout out to
You have to.
Women in Tech Israel, which is women-in-tech.org. And please put that in the show notes. You can click and check them out there. Their mission is to help Israeli women in tech break the glass ceiling by expanding their professional networks, learning from experiences of successful women, and overcoming barriers such as language challenges and imposter syndromes. Shout out to them. Keren, if people want to connect with you online, what's the best place to do it?
LinkedIn, probably.
Fantastic. We will link that also in the show notes. And I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. It was real fun. Thank you. And thank you for spotlighting women. That's so important. Thank you for that.
My pleasure.